To the left. It's gonna go.
I thought you said to the right.
To the right. Sorry. My left. Your right. Okay. And just go peek at the lab real quick. While you're doing that, I'll let her know what happens right now.
He's always running around. Oh yeah, yes. I does. And he's usually coming in like right at start. And that's all I got stuff in my head. I looked at your name and Jesse, and my daughter likes that. And Disney.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny. There's also that one show. It's called New Girls, and her name is Jessie on there.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
And it's what's with what's her name? It's like yeah, I do too. She's like, like kind of like that on there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
But yeah, my daughter actually has a father. Because her father has, they have the same dad or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm actually now friends with the other mom. Because
wow.
Her dad's kind of a deadbeat. So me and the other mom reached out to each other, so like they have a relationship, and we actually hang out and stuff like that. We became friends. And her son, his name is Tyler. He likes that show.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Okay. You can. You want to start class around here. Okay. You have the mouse. Okay. Alrighty, everyone. So I want to just start off where I left off on Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday. Just finishing information about the course. I asked you to fill out this student commitment form, right? Someone bring those up. Let's see it here. Cool. Got them all. All right. Go tell me a little. So you told me. So I've told you about myself, right? I want you to tell me a little bit about you, right? And to facilitate that, I posted a pre-course questionnaire on Blackboard, right? And one of the questions I asked is, what are your expectations of me as an instructor? All right, I've laid out what my expectations of you are. I want you to tell me what your expectations of me are, right? That's part of that student pre-course questionnaire. If you fill this out, I said originally by Friday, today, 5 o'clock, I give you 2 points of extra credit. Because I'm having some problems enrolling some of you and getting you on the Blackboard, I'm going to extend that until Monday at 5 o'clock. All right? So if you haven't done that yet, if you have a work or something this evening, you don't have to have an opportunity, I'm extending that to Monday. All right, so you have all weekend. Yes, sir.
I just did this right before class, and I could not click on the bottom 2 questions. It would not let me type that. So what I did was answer the bottom 2 questions on the one before that.
Okay.
It wasn't. I don't know why. I don't know if everybody else having that problem.
Okay. Anyone else have that problem? All right. So it's just your computer.
Okay.
No. Sometimes some things happen. All right. So please do that. I want to know what your expectations are. So there's been a lot of research that shows that when you build camaraderie, right, when students feel that they're more part of a team, right, they're not just sitting up by themselves, so they perform better. All right. So in keeping with that thinking, I want you, if you have not already, met the person to your left and right, please do that at this time. Introduce yourself, tell one another who you are. Do it! Do it now!
I'm Sue. That's right.
Very good. Now go back. Go back to me. Very good. Go back to me. Go back to me. Okay. For the most part, this is the end of the presentation on the course syllabus and information about the course. The remainder of the syllabus, which we have not talked about, talks about course resources. Also, there's some information about study skills that I have also shared with you, and I have put that online, right? So the rest of the part of the syllabus is dealing with course resources and also study skills I posted online. And what you do is you go to assignments, the assignments tab. So this is the main menu from Blackboard. You go to the assignments tab. The assignments tab will take you there, and you'll see lecture on course information and syllabus, right? That'll just basically cover course resources and some study skills / study habits, all right, for this course, okay, which I encourage you to be, all right? But you and I, I'm not getting extra credit for the whatever, but it'd be a good thing to take a look at, right? The only thing I want to talk to you about is I do say on there that the last day of withdrawal was December something, right? Because I made that last semester, right? So ignore that part, all right? It's May 5th is the last day of withdrawal. Okay? I did also wanted to mention, I think I have a, or maybe not, it's not here. It's under the next. Just a second. Must not have saved. That's okay. I'll talk about it now. Okay? So I did send an email out to the class saying that we do need some students to serve as note takers. If you're not familiar with what a note taker is, basically you just make a copy of your notes and provide it to students that are in need of a note taker, and you get paid for this. Right? You get about $25 a credit. So for this class, it's 4 credits, and so you get $100 for it. Right? You don't have to do anything extra. Just do the note taking like you usually do, and just make a copy of it and provide it to the students. Right? If you are interested in doing that, please see me after class. I'll provide you with some instructions, and also the students who need the note takers have agreed to identify themselves, so I can match you up. I would like to have note takers, and I also like to have backups, right? Because a high number of students do drop this class throughout the semester, and it's good to have a backup rather than having to take a week to try to locate a new note taker. So please see me right after class, right, if you're interested in that. Okay? Alrighty. So now we get to hopefully the more fun stuff. Oh yeah, I do have a little etiquette protocol. So I did mention to you that your quizzes will be online, right, on Blackboard. Okay? Some of you may not be familiar with taking online quizzes on Blackboard. So before I give you a real quiz, I want you to become accustomed or acclimated to the setup. So I have posted a practice quiz on Blackboard, right? So you take this quiz and it will not affect your grade at all, right? It's just sort of get you comfortable with the setup of the practice quiz, etc. Okay? So if you go on your assignments, you'll find the practice quiz. The conditions of this practice quiz and the real quiz are the same, right? I will always announce quizzes in class. I typically will give you at least a window of 36 hours to take them, typically longer, right? So like if we finish chapter 1 today, typically I'd say, well, have the quizzes open today after class and have it done by Wednesday at 5 o'clock or something like that. I usually give you plenty of time, okay? There will be 12 multiple choice questions. I take those 12 questions from the pool of questions from the publisher's website. Okay? The real quizzes, I only allow you to take one time. Right? This practice quiz you take over and over and over again. Right? Whatever allows you to become comfortable with the set. Okay? And what else? And the content of this practice quiz, the questions are basically testing your knowledge of the syllabus. So all these questions are on the syllabus. Right? What day does the course start? How long is it? Questions like that. All right. And again, not going to affect your grade, just to get you comfortable with the setup of the quizzes. Okay? We'll have quizzes at the end of every chapter. Right? So we'll finish chapter 1, take a quiz. Chapter 2, take a quiz. Chapter 3, and then you'll have an exam. We'll not have a quiz when you're going to have an exam. Okay? All minds clear? Alrighty. Okay, so let's finally get into the course content. So the first chapter, chapter 1, I provided you with all of my slides, or most of my slides, I would say, on Blackboard. So I encourage you to print out the slides, try and look at them while we're looking at them on the screen, and you can add little notes to them. Right? The reason why I give you the slides is so that you are not feverishly writing everything down on the slide during the lecture. Right? Because a lot of times you do that, right, and you're not even really listening and you're not really engaged, right? Because you're so busy writing everything down. I don't want you to do that. Right? I want you to be in the discussion, understand what's going on, and not have to be out here every day. Okay? So the first chapter is basically introducing you to anatomy and physiology of the body, of the human body, right? And also introducing you to anatomical terminology. Okay? So, first objective of today's lecture is to define anatomy, define physiology, and to discuss how the two are related. Okay? Then we're going to look at the levels of organization of the body, right? We're going to talk about, we're going to examine different levels of structural organization of the body, starting at the least complex, or the simplest one to the most complex. And then we're going to examine the 11 organ systems of the body, talk about their major functions, and talk about the major organs that make up those organ systems. Okay? So, anatomy, what is it? It is the study of the structure of the body, the shape and form of the body, and its parts. Okay? It comes from the root word comes from Greek, right? Ana meaning to cut, tomi meaning to cut, and ana meaning apart. All right, and that's because in the beginnings of anatomy, right, how did scientists study the structure of the body and form? They would cut animals apart. In fact, dissection at one time was called anatomizing. Okay? So, anatomy means literally to cut apart. All right? And we'll be doing a little, we work mainly with models in this class, but we will do a little cutting apart of a few preserved specimens. Now, when we talk about anatomy, we can talk about gross anatomy and microscopic anatomy. All right? Gross anatomy doesn't mean, ooh, that's gross, right? It means the structure and shape of things that you can see with the naked eye, like teeth, hair, right? The shape of your limbs and your fingers, right? Your visceral organs, like stomach, intestines, liver, all right? You can observe the shape, right, form, even texture of all of those organs without the use of any kind of magnifying device. Right? Gross anatomy. Microscopic anatomy refers to observations of form that require magnification. Like if you were to look at, say, a gland from the stomach, right? If you took a little section out of the stomach, right, and examine it under the microscope, you can see a gastric gland. Or if you wanted to see the overall shape and form of a parietal cell, right, you'd need a high-powered microscope. You can even observe the internal structures of the cell if you have an electron microscope. All right, so that's microscopic anatomy and gross anatomy. Okay, so anatomy is the study of the structure and shape of the body and its parts. What is physiology? Why do we study anatomy and physiology? Well, physiology is the study of how the body and its parts function. All right, so anatomy is form. Physiology is function. All right, well, why do we study the two together? That is, how is anatomy related to physiology? Well, it's very easy to answer that question by looking at something that we're all familiar with, which is teeth. Right? We're all familiar with teeth, right? We learned about incisors and bicuspids and canines and stuff way back in elementary school, right? So here we have three different types of teeth. We have incisors, canines, and molars. Notice that they all have some similarity in structure, but they also have some differences in structure. All right, so they have some differences in anatomy, right? Okay, what does that reflect? Right, well, it reflects their physiology, right? Incisors, the front teeth, they're flat, right? They're not very deep, but they're flat and wide. Canines are shaped like a spade shovel. And your molars are wide and they have several cusps, right? Why are they different? Right? Well, they're different because they have different functions. Incisors you use to bite off and ingest things, like you bite an apple with your incisors. Your canines you use to pierce and tear, right? Like you bite into a Slim Jim. Or if you are a creature of the night, you may suck blood. Right? Pierce the jugular vein. right? And molars are used for grinding, right? Grinding down the food. Could you imagine trying to bite an apple with molars? Right? So, obviously, form follows function, right? Okay? Or structure determines function. Or conversely, you could say that function or physiology determines structure. They're interrelated. All right. So structure determines structure determines function, and or anatomy determines physiology, and at the same time, physiology determines anatomy. All right. You will see that over and over and over again as we go through each organ system. You will see how differences in structure relate to differences in form. In physiology.
I just wanted you to form follows function. Is that what you said? Okay.
Right. Or determines. Doesn't matter which term you use. Right?
Okay.
They're interrelated.
Okay.
Right. You can look at something and if you really know the structure, it will tell you a little bit of something about its function. Right?
Okay.
For example, right, I'm going to give you an animal. And if those of you who know what animal this is, right, don't say anything, right? Because there is this animal called the Pt.1. Right? Anyone have any idea, right, who's not from Hawaii, what that is?
It's a fish, isn't it?
It is a fish, right? Now what I was going to say is, if I told you it has fins, right, you'd immediately say, well, it's probably a fish and it swims, right? Why would you say that? Because you associate fins with swimming. You associate a form with particular function, right? Okay? Just like if I said, I have this pet and it has wings, right? You would immediately think, well, it's got to be a bird or it's got to be a bat. It doesn't have that. Right? It's got to be a cockatiel or something. Okay? Again, you associate a certain structure, wings, with flying. Right? Okay, so you're all familiar with anatomy and physiology, right? You haven't really thought about it how they relate. Okay? Alright. So that's anatomy and physiology and how they're related. Know the definitions for anatomy, the definition of physiology, and how they interrelate. Right? And again, over and over again, we're going to come back to the common theme of how anatomy and physiology are interrelated. Alright, so let's now talk about the structural organization of the human body. Alright? So all of us here are literally at our most basic level. We are walking, talking, breathing bags of atoms. Right? We're composed of matter. Matter is anything that takes up space, right, and has weight. Okay, all matter is composed of atoms. Right? The basic unit of matter. And those atoms come together to form molecules. Alright, and then those molecules come together to form the basic unit of life, which is the cell. In this particular case, it's a smooth muscle cell. Right? It could be any cell. Right? It could be a epithelial cell, it could be a blood cell, etc. Cells, similar in structure or anatomy, and therefore similar in function, come together and work collectively and form tissue. This example is smooth muscle tissue. Okay? So all those cells individually have functions, and then they work together to support a function. Multiple tissues, each with its own function, work collectively to form an organ. All right, in this case, a blood vessel. Right? So when we look at this blood vessel, it's got three different types of tissues. We got epithelial tissue, we got smooth muscle tissue, we got connective tissue. Each individual tissue has its own function, but all of those tissues collectively support the function of the organ as a whole, right? So the epithelial tissue, its function is to provide a smooth, low-friction surface by which blood can move through the blood vessel. Smooth muscles are responsible for constriction and dilation of the blood vessel. And the connective tissue is just there for protection, all right, and also connecting the blood vessel to surrounding tissue, right? Each individually has its own function, but collectively they support the function of the organ, which is to allow blood to move from point A to point B. Okay? And then you can have multiple organs, each with their own function, but working together to support the function of an organ system. In this case, the cardiovascular system, right? So we have arteries to take blood away from the heart. We have veins to return blood to the heart. We have the heart itself, which provides propulsion for that blood, right? Many organs here, but all with different functions, but all working to support the greater function of the organ system, which is transportation, moving substances from one part of the body to another. And then we have 11 organ systems, each with its own function that supports necessary life functions, right, in support of the body, the organism, the human body. Okay? These are the levels of structural organization of the human body, starting with the most simplest to the most complex. Alright? So to review that again, you start with the atoms come together to form cells, the basic unit of life. The cells form tissues, the tissues form organs, the organs form organ systems. There are 11 organ systems in the human body, right? And they support the life of the organism. Okay? Alright, before we go any further, alright, I want to ask you, do you know what an organ is? I'm going to open the floor for responses, alright? Raise your hand and give me an example of an organ. Yes, sir. What? Skin? Okay, possibly, yes. Anything. Well, give me an example of an organ. An example? Yeah, but he said skin. Stomach, great.
Heart.
Heart.
Lungs.
Kidney, lungs.
Ovaries.
Ovaries. Liver, pancreas.
Bladder.
Bladder. Blood vessel. Okay. Any others? All right.
Brain.
Okay. Brain. Okay. All of those are true, right? Now, typically, when you ask someone about organs, they give you the visceral organs, those big organs that are found in the body trunk, right? Some of you stepped a little outside that, right? You said things like skin, heard blood vessel, and what have you. But typically, you ask about organs, this is the response you get. All that big stuff in the body trunk. All right. I want to expand your definition of an organ. Right. Organ is anything that has a function, and typically it has more than one tissue. Right. Think of anything that has function, such as the skeletal muscle. Right, like the biceps brachii or pectoralis major, or your calf muscle, the gastrocnemius. Right? All of those are organs, right? So here we have a skeletal muscle. If you look at a skeletal muscle, it has a function, right? And it's got several tissues. It's got skeletal muscle cells, it's got connective tissue, right? So is a skeletal muscle an organ? Yes. Yes, it is. All right. Let me ask you about this skin. All right. You mentioned skin. Is skin an organ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Depending on your definition of skin, right, it could be an organ, or it could actually, it's an organ system, all right? And why do I say that? Well, you have the epidermis, which is composed of epithelial cells. You have the dermis, which is composed of connective tissue, right? But then you have all these other organs in here. You have sebaceous glands, you have sweat glands, right? You've got hair follicles, right? You've got hair. And all of those are organs in and of themselves. So, skin as a whole, right? Holistically, skin is actually an organ system. Okay? So I want you to expand your thinking as to what an organ is. Anything that has function. Hair is an organ, right? It has a function, right? What you see is, right? But down to the roots, or as we say in North Carolina, the roots, right? It's a lot. Right? Yeah, all have function. Okay? Alrighty, so what I want to do now, are there any questions before we go any further? Okay. What I want to do now is just run through the 11 organ systems, right? You are responsible for being able to identify the 11 organ systems. And this is an overlay with lab, right? We're doing the same thing in lab. Identify the major organs and also know the major functions of the organ systems. Okay? Now, at this point, I'm asking you to learn the forest, right? We're going to spend the rest of the semester learning all the trees, the details, all right? This time it's just overview, okay? All right, integumentary system. The integumentary system is composed basically of all of the skin of the body. Functions include separating the body from the outside world, where your book says, keeping the insides in and the outsides out. Right? Protection protects your body from invading by bacteria, viruses, and other little nasty things you on. Right? It also helps protect deeper tissues. It produces vitamin D when ultraviolet light hits your skin. Vitamin D is produced. And also all those nice little receptors that allow you to feel hot and cold, and pain, and pleasure, and pressure, they're also found in the skin. Skeletal system. The skeletal system is composed of all the bones of the body, the associated cartilage, the articulations or joints where two bones come together. That's called a joint or articulation. And also holding those bones together at the site of an articulation are ligaments. Ligaments hold one bone, attach one bone to another bone. Ligaments. Functions include protection. Your entire central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord, is enclosed in bones and protected. Also, your thoracic cavity is surrounded by bone. Right? Your lungs and your heart, very important organs, are protected or partially protected by bone. Bone also supports locomotion, the ability to run and frolic and play with your kids. Right? Because your skeletal muscles use your bones like levers to allow for movement. And lastly, your skeletal system provides structure or structural support for the body. Right? The bones of your legs act like pillars, holding the upper body up. All right? What would we look like if we didn't have our skeletal system? Right? Something like that. One other thing I didn't mention, blood cell formation also occurs in bone, right? Or hematopoiesis. Red bone marrow, that's where white and red blood cells are made. Okay? All right. Muscular system. The muscular system includes all of the skeletal muscles of the body. The skeletal muscles are the muscles that are under voluntary control. That is, those are the muscles that you can move at will. Right? The muscles you can move at will. Believe it or not, about 40% of your body is composed of skeletal muscles. Right? So when we go look at the cadavers later in the semester, those of you who wish to, you'll be amazed at what percentage of the body is skeletal muscle. What percentage is skeletal muscle? Functions of the muscular system, of course, would include locomotion, right? Again, the skeletal muscles are called skeletal muscles because they're attached to the skeletal system. They move bones like levers. They also are responsible for producing most of the heat that your body generates. And they also allow you to maintain your posture. My ability to stand here, the ability for you to hold your head up, the ability for you to sit upright is due to the contraction of skeletal muscles on your body. Even though you sort of don't think about it, they're always working, right? If all of a sudden all of your skeletal muscles stop contracting, you'll be swapped over. Nervous system. The nervous system is the fast-acting controller of the body. Right? It includes the brain, the spinal cord, and all of the peripheral nerves that radiate out from the brain and the spinal cord. Tingle and burn? Well, it can be different things. Poisons can make them tingle and burn. Not having access to proper blood flow can make them tingle. Right? Trauma, right? When you hit your funny bone, right? Which you'll learn later is the medial epicondyle, right? All those things can stimulate nerves to cause different sensations. The fast-acting control system, in that they basically control all of the muscles and glands of your body. And as those muscles and glands or heart make up most of your other organ systems, right? They affect all those organ systems. And they act very quickly, right? Instantaneously, within milliseconds. So they're referred to as the fast control system. Right? But later on, you'll learn that they're subdivided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Don't worry about that right now, right? Those are details we get to later. Okay? But central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is everything else. It's not brain, it's not spinal cord, it's peripheral nervous system. Okay? This is FYI. Again, not something happening right now. Yes, ma'am.
The eyes are just an example of sensory receptors.
That is correct. Sensory receptors are basically nerve endings or organs that detect stimuli. Right? And what's another name for stimuli? For a stimulus? What? Change. Right? Change. That's all a stimulus is. It's change. Right?
Well, maybe those nerve conduction
I'm actually not familiar with that place. So I can't even comment intelligently. Talk with me offline about that, right? And I'll look up some information offline and become educated. Boy, sounds good. You're like, ow! All right, endocrine system. So the nervous system has a partner. It's the endocrine system. The endocrine system is a slow-acting system, all right, compared to the nervous system. Right? It takes a little longer to affect other organ systems. Right? Now, the endocrine system, not only does it work more slowly, it tends to control processes that either are ongoing or that take a long, basically take a long time. Right? For example, your growth and development. All right? At one time, all of us were right? Right? 6 pounds, 7 ounces, something like that. So 8 inches long, right? And it took a lot of years, right, to become the strapping young specimens that we are now. All right? Some people like me not so young. Okay? And you look different than we did then. Right? A lot of changes occurred. Things got bigger. Right? We found hair in certain parts of our body. Right? Changes occurred, right? And that entire process was controlled by the endocrine system, right? Growth and development, reproduction, metabolism, all of that is regulated by the endocrine system, right? Endocrine system produces hormones, right? Those hormones are produced by glands in different tissues, okay? Endocrine glands specifically. Those are glands that secrete substances inside the body, as opposed to outside the body, like salivary glands, digestive glands, sweat glands. Okay? Cardiovascular system include all the blood vessels of the body, that is the arteries, the veins, capillaries, and the heart. Okay? Its function is transportation. That's its function. I like to think of the cardiovascular system as the Eisenhower interstate highway system of the body, right? Which some of the things are transported, of course, respiratory gases, waste products, nutrients, hormones, etc. Right? Cardiovascular system. Probably one of the systems that students are least familiar with is the lymphatic system. Right? The lymphatic system includes of the thoracic duct lymph nodes and those lymphatic vessels. Okay? Their function is to cleanse the blood, removing, a couple of things. One, there's a certain amount of fluid that escapes the cardiovascular system. Right? Slightly more fluid leaves the heart than is returned to the heart. And it is the lymphatic system's function to return that fluid that escaped the cardiovascular system. And in the process, the lymphatic system removes dead cells, debris, and also holds our immune cells, B cells, and T cells. Right? So that's where our immunity at least starts. Okay? Respiratory system. Respiratory system is responsible for oxygenating the blood and removing carbon dioxide from the body. Right? It includes the nose, the lungs, and everything in between. Right? So basically you have the nose and nasal cavity, then you have the pharynx, which is basically the throat. Then you have the larynx, which opens up to the trachea or windpipe. And then you have the bronchi, which then lead to the lungs. And that's what's called your respiratory tract. Digestive system. The digestive system is probably the system that you're most familiar with, right? The digestive system consists of this long tube that runs from from mouth to anus, or as I like to say it, from rooter to tutor, right? And what are called accessory organs. Those are organs that are involved in digestion, but they're not a part of the digestive tract, like your liver, your gallbladder, the teeth, the salivary glands, right? It's not part of the digestive tract proper, but it's involved. They're involved in digestion. Function. Break food down to small molecules and then be absorbed into the bloodstream. And what can't be digested is excreted as fiber. Indigestible fiber. Now, let me ask you this question. Right? This always gets the truth, right? So, if I were to give you a quarter pound of cheese, right, and you were to eat it, right, it's in your stomach now, right, go would that quarter pound of cheese technically be in your body or outside your body, and why? Yes, ma'am.
Outside.
Why is it outside your body?
Because it's like where we
Okay. All right, well, I'll go with
I
that.
can't do a full. I don't know.
That's all right.
Picture like a big culvert. You just shove the big thing in a tube, but basically it's
Right.
still open on both ends.
Right. Remember, so digestive tract is a long tube that opens at both ends. Right? So anything that's in the digestive tract is technically outside the body proper. Only when it's absorbed into the body is it inside the body, into the bloodstream. The same way if you took lotion and slapped it on your skin, right? It's technically outside the body until it's absorbed in. Right? Okay, urinary system. Alright, urinary system is responsible for ridding the body of nitrogenous waste. Right? Nitrogen-containing wastes are produced by the body just as a function of normal metabolism. Right? Produced all the time. And those substances have to be removed from the body. Also, the body tends to produce more acidic substances than basic substances. So typically acids have to be removed from the body as well. And also electrolyte balance, sodium ions, potassium ions, chloride ions, etc. Those must be maintained within a certain range within the blood. It's the urinary system's job to rid the body of nitrogenous waste and maintain acid-base balance and also electrolyte balance. And I should also include water balance, right? The urinary system makes sure that you lose no more water than you take in, right? And also no less water than you take in, preventing dehydration. Okay? You'll love the urinary system when we get to it. It's a real pisser. Right? Reproductive system. All right, so reproductive system is responsible for the production of offspring. All right, and I say not simply reproduction, right? So I'm asking you, what's the function of the reproductive system? Don't just say reproduction, right? All organ systems, for the most part, participate in reproduction. Whenever a cell splits into two new cells, that's reproduction, right? And just about every organ system participates in reproduction to a great extent or to a very small extent, right? Because all tissues don't undergo mitosis, cell division very, very well. All right. So when we talk about reproduction is responsible for the reproductive system. Is responsible for the production of progeny, young, kids, crumb snatchers, as the old folks used to call them. Right? Boy, tough crap. Right? Okay, so those are 11 organ systems. Quick down and dirty. Questions? No? Okay, again, organ systems, know them by name, you'll be able to list them, the major functions, major organs, right? Showing you the forest, we're going to spend the rest of the semester diagnosed going through the treatment. Okay? Alrighty, so let's now talk about, now that you know the 11 organ systems, or at least somewhat familiar with them, let's talk about how life is maintained, specifically in humans. So we're going to examine the functions that humans must perform in order to maintain life, and we're going to talk a little bit about the organ systems that participate in it, right? And then we're going to examine the survival needs of the human body, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, so what must the human body do to maintain life? Right? That's what we're talking about. You know, we say necessary life functions. Right? One is to maintain boundaries. Okay, maintain boundaries. The human body is compartmentalized. Right? Certain things happen in this compartment, and other things happen in this compartment. Just like in your house, right? If I went to your house now, I probably would not find the dinner table, the kitchen sink, the toilet, and then the bed all lined up beside one another, right? Okay? Because your house is compartmentalized. You have the bedroom, you have the bathroom, you have the kitchen. And you do certain things in certain compartments. The human body, same way, right? Okay? Urine is not running all through your body, right? It's confined to the urinary tract, right? Your blood, even though sometimes it seems it's everywhere, it's confined to your blood vessels, cardiovascular system. Right? The skeletal muscles are confined to a certain space and separated from other skeletal muscles and other things. Right? So, all of the organ systems participate to some extent into maintaining boundaries. Okay? Certain things happen in certain compartments within the body. Okay? Movement. All living organisms, including humans, move. Now, movement can take two forms. Right? There's locomotion. Right? It's moving the body, displacing the body from one point to another. But there's also moving substances like saliva, urine, blood, okay, air. Okay, that's what we mean by movement. Right? Responsiveness, right? Responsiveness or irritability. All right, you can use those terms synonymously. All right, required for life. Okay. Responsiveness or irritability is the ability to detect the stimulus which you learn is change and to respond to it. Okay? And to respond or react to it. All right? Your ability to see is based on your ability to detect light, changes in light, changes in wavelength, changes in intensity, and to respond to it. Your ability to hear what I am saying now is based on your ability to sense, detect changes in vibrations, the intensity of those vibrations, and the frequency of those vibrations. And then in response, you react to them. Okay, you touch something hot, right? You move away from it. Right? Something painful, you move away from it. Right? Digestion. Digestion is simply the breakdown of food into smaller molecules that can then be absorbed into the body. Right? All organisms need nutrients. Right? They need water. Okay? They need energy. They get that from their food. All right? So to maintain life, right, you must digest. Right? Of course, the digestive system is involved in it. Okay? Metabolism. Now, you've heard the word metabolism like forever, right? Do you really know what it means, right? Really skinny people like to say, I have a fast metabolism. Right? Next time someone says that, well, what does that mean? Basically, it's the sum of all the chemical reactions that are occurring in your body. Right? All the chemical reactions that are occurring in your body. That is what metabolism is. Some of those chemical reactions are releasing energy. Some of those chemical reactions are taking energy to build large molecules from small molecules. Right? And some are storing energy, like fat, like life. Right? And all organ systems participate in metabolism. Okay? Excretion. All organisms must excrete things because they produce things that they don't need. Byproducts, waste products. If they build up to too high a level, right, they can become toxic. Urinary system's involved in that. The digestive system's, of course, involved in that. Even the integumentary system is involved in that. We actually do excrete some waste products in sweat. All right? That's our sweat gland secretion. Okay? And reproduction is also a necessary life function. Right? Because if you don't reproduce, you're going to die. Alright? Oh, no, not really. Right? If you don't reproduce, you're not going to die. Now, some people would argue that if you don't at least have sex, they might die. Right? But you don't have to reproduce to live. Okay? But what happens if nobody reproduces? The species dies. Right? So, in terms of the persistence of a species, reproduction is required. All living organisms reproduce. Right? And for the most part. Right? You can, of course, cross two animals like, of course, a donkey, a mule, and a sterile rat. Right? Growth. All living organisms, including humans, grow. Now, growth can take two forms. It can be due to an increase in cell size, or it can be due to an increase in cell number. Right? Example of an increase in cell size is what happens when you do weight training. Right? When your muscles, when you get swole, right? Muscles get large because you're lifting weights. Believe it or not, that's not due to an increase in cell number and the number of skeletal muscle cells. It's actually due to an increase in skeletal muscle cell size. Right? Now, on the flip side, when a woman becomes pregnant and her uterus grows in size, that is actually due to an increase in cell number. Okay? So growth can be in two forms or a combination of both. And every organ system participates in growth. Okay, so those are the survival needs, the things that the body must do. Those are life functions, things that the body must do in order to live. All right? Let's talk now about what the body must have in order to maintain those life functions. Okay? And to start that discussion, what I want to do is I have this box with nothing in it. It's a vacuum. Nothing's in it. I'm going to put this dude in here, and we'll call this dude, dude. Right? Now, tell me what dude must have in order to survive, to maintain those life functions. Water, oxygen, nutrients, normal body temperature, atmospheric pressure. Very good, very good. Anything else? Light? Is light really required? It's required for vitamin D. It's required for vitamin D if you don't get it in your diet. You're correct. Okay? Very good. All right? I heard nutrients, right? Most of what we consume, actually, your body actually uses it as energy, but some things we do actually use to actually become a part of the body proper, part of our skin, part of our organs, so forth and so on. But most of what we use, the body uses for energy to move them. All right? Oxygen. Oxygen is required for the chemical reactions that produce most of the energy that our body needs. That's why you cannot do without oxygen for a very long time at all, because that's responsible for producing most of the energy that our body consumes. Okay? And I do believe someone said water, right? Water actually makes up 60 to 80% of our body is composed of water. And that's going to do it. Okay, this is embarrassing. No, this worked at home. Not working at home. That's good. Well, it's not worth that much time. Rule of thumb: things work perfectly at home once you bring them to MATC. It's not worth it. I'm proud of myself when I got that together. Anyway, water, believe it or not, is the most abundant substance in your body. Make up anywhere from 60 to 80% of your body by weight, right? Depending on your age, your sex, body condition, etc. Right? Your gender, to a certain extent, right? One, it's the medium in which most of the chemical reactions occur in your body are occurring within water, right, or a solution, with a water-based solution, an aqueous solution. Also, water participates in reactions in your body, right? It participates in what's called dehydration synthesis, where it's involved in, it's released as two small molecules are put together. And it's also involved in breaking large molecules down into smaller molecules, right? By a process called hydrolysis. Also, water, because it's so good at absorbing heat, helps maintain a stable body temperature, okay, despite changes in atmospheric temperature around you. Okay. Stable body temperature is also another survival need, and you have to have the appropriate atmospheric pressure, right? Because as atmospheric pressure goes down, the partial pressure of oxygen also goes down. And it can get down to such a low level that your lungs are no longer able to provide enough oxygen to the blood to maintain the oxygen needs of your body. Okay? So, that is all for today. We will start on homeostasis on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Make sure you review the slides that we went over today over the weekend, right? Don't decide not to touch any